are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
The change in the trend of people's connection with music.
What's that on your back? Is that a guitar?
Like, oh yeah, I love the beats. Oh, I love the instrument. That's what I need to cling to or relate to or regulate myself looks like I'm effortlessly just playing music, having fun with people.
Sleeping, I dreamed I held you.
遇见有趣的灵魂，活出真实的自己。大家好，欢迎来到谈心社，让我们一起谈心、谈情、谈音乐。Welcome to Generous Talk, an intercultural conversation on music, health, and lifestyle. Enjoy!
Hi everyone, this is Xinyu, and today I'm going to welcome Iliana, right?
Yep.
She's in Washington, D.C. in the U.S., and she's a board-certified music therapist with a passion to work with children and teenagers. Currently, she's focusing on like the mental health of children and teenagers and working with them with a variety of different goals and challenges they have. And I'm very excited to have you today to hear your experience as a fellow music therapist. So would you like to introduce yourself in addition to the ones I've shared with the audience?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So, as you said, I am Iliana. I am a board-certified music therapist. I am going on, this is my almost 5 years. I was certified in August of 2017.
Wow,
and yeah,
we all remember that time.
I wasn't counting down or anything. What are you talking about?
Anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I have to make sure I update all of my my recertification stuff.
That's true. Every 5 years.
Yep, exactly. We're there. I hit the mark.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I primarily work in a mental health setting with kids and teens ages 7 to 17. And there are 3 different units that we have at the facility. One is an acute unit. So average length of stay is 7 to 10 days. Mm-hmm. And that's more of just crisis stabilization. So after they've gone through some sort of, experience that brings them to us, they stay with us for, about 7 to 10 days. They get stabilized on medications. We try to give them coping skills where they're with us, and then they go back home. Mm-hmm. The residential treatment center has an average stay of maybe 6 to 9, but it can go up to 12 months. So they live with us, long-term, very long-term in some cases. And that's more, it's a little more behavioral than psychological issues typically. And that's really kind of like stabilization of behaviors over a long period of time. So they have to kind of earn their way out, which is a really weird way of saying it, but they have to prove that they can like maintain stability in their own lives with the structure that we provide them for a certain length of time before they are allowed to go back home or wherever it is they're going to be discharged to. And the partial hospitalization program, which is just a day program, so just a therapeutic day program, kids, they tend to be a little bit older. They accept anywhere from 11 to 17 usually. Mm-hmm. They will just come throughout the day. So instead of going to school, they'll come to us, and then they get to go home at the end of the day. And that's more of like, they're not quite needing to be in an acute setting, but they're also not quite feeling stable enough to go to school or go about their daily lives. So they come with us just for the day.
Mm-hmm. So how are usually those kids, referred to those programs?
So it will pretty much always start with acute. To be able to be referred to acute, you are almost always coming either from the emergency room or from the police. And the emergency room is usually a kid revealed to their school counselor or to their parents that they were feeling suicidal. The counselor said, you know what, this kid isn't safe. They've got to go to the ER. So they go to the emergency room, and then from there, from the emergency room, they don't tend to want to keep them there. That's really not a proper like setting for them to kind of navigate that. So from the emergency room, they will then refer them to us. And that's how we will accept them to acute. Now, on the police side of things, that will typically be kids that have had some sort of outburst of aggression. That might be towards family members, that might be in a different setting, like a group home setting, or it may be they ran away from home and were aggressive towards police. Okay. And they will refer to us for the aggressive side of their behaviors, because they are the what keeps you in acute, or what brings you to acute, is you are a danger to yourself or you are a danger to others. So you have to meet one of those requirements for those criteria to be able to stay on an acute inpatient setting. Now, how they get referred to PHP, the day program, or residential actually is usually from an acute setting. So acute, the kids that, that tend to be okay enough when we are ready to discharge them, we may refer them to our own PHP, or to another one if one is closer to where they live, because we take them from pretty far away. But if they're still kind of struggling, but we're noticing that it's like a long time struggle, maybe it's their 4th or 5th time in a short period of time in an acute setting, then instead we might say, you know what, you may need residential. You may need something longer term to really keep you stable for that longer amount of time.
So are there like kids that so like the acute is only a week or so, right?
Or so.
Yeah. And I can imagine for some kids, if they are having those behavior issue, like 7 days is really not enough to help them to solve the problem.
Exactly. There's always, not always, but the most frustrating disconnect that can happen is especially when we get like maybe like a little aggressive kid, because maybe a 7 or 8 year old that's suddenly is really aggressive at home. Mom can't keep up. They'll come to acute, and the parents will kind of expect, oh yeah, so they go there, you wave your magic wand, and then my kid will come out perfect little angel. No, we are there to stabilize your kid so that maybe they'll stop trying to punch you. But that's not how it works, right? Yeah. When we discharge, there's a whole list of criteria that they have to have set in place before they're even allowed to discharge. So our discharge planner makes sure that the parents have an appointment with psychiatry, possibly in-home intensive therapy, possibly, other appointments all lined up with their primary care provider, all lined up before we even let them go home, so that we can show them like, hey, we got your kid good enough. Now they have to be home to really do the work beyond that. Yeah, because that's it's super frustrating when we get parents that are like, oh, why is my kid the same? Well, your kid is still your kid.
Yeah,
that would be why.
It's those years of, it's probably also, when child has behavior issues, usually the system that they are in.
Oh yeah.
So they can expect that if they don't change the system they're in, and expect the kids to change.
Exactly.
So I can imagine it's pretty like intense. I try to help them to meet that criteria to discharge within like 7 days, if that's right.
It can be. It really depends on who it is. So it really is kind of like, we don't split them up at all, but it really is kind of like, are they more on the suicidal or self-injurious behavior end of things, or are they more on the aggressive, possibly homicidal end of things? The suicidal ones tend to be much more straightforward, in that it's kind of like, you know what, are you currently on meds? If you're not, let's get you on some. If you were, let's maybe adjust the levels and see why it's not working anymore, and why you're just feeling like this is just unbearable at this point. And in addition to, like, maybe let's also give you some like extra coping skills that you may not have tried before, or that you have but don't really understand how to use better for yourself. And then, it's usually pretty straightforward in getting them kind of in and out, if you will. With the aggressive cases, it can really go either way, especially if they tend to be aggressive just at home or just towards a certain family member, and then they come to us and then they're fine. what that comes down to is, okay, well, you all need intensive family therapy.
Yes.
That's not something that we can really fix while your kid isn't at home. So that's how that kind of like can kind of get a little complicated. And of course, there are the more aggressive kids that are just aggressive at everything.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Those are the ones where, they might take a little bit longer, especially because we then need to find placement for them. So they can take a little longer.
You mean find place for them in other program, the residential,
sometimes
the daytime?
If our residential can't take them for whatever reason, like if we're full, or if we just we aren't the right placement for them, it may be up to us to, or especially if they're if they're in that's an abbreviation that I don't want to use. If they're in social DSS custody, if they're custody of the state, basically, then it can be up to us instead of them to find like, okay, well, would this placement be appropriate? This placement, and that can take time too. So we will have some kids that kind of slip through the cracks and take a lot longer, not because they necessarily need to stay with us, but because we don't have a secure place for them to go next yet. So
you're their parents, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
So what do you do as a music therapist in that acute setting for this?
So I primarily work in groups, and I see. So the entire acute unit is 32 patients right now, and each of them they're all spread out across 4 different day rooms. So like like classrooms, and there's 8 in each room. And, at a designated time, I will go into one of the rooms, have a group for, about 50 minutes and then, leave. So the work that I do is very much single session structured, but that is more because, there could be 2 kids in that room that just got there. There might be 3 kids in that room that are discharging tomorrow. So it's more because of like the space. Yeah. The space itself could be, I might see one kid 4 times before they discharge, just because like maybe he was in this room this day, I see this room this day. Like it could have just been all sorts of things. So I might see one kid 4 times. I might see one other kid once, just because of how and when, like it's all so fluid with the discharges and admissions. So, but I work primarily in groups, and I pretty much go in and, I introduce myself. I introduce that, we do music therapy together, and often there will be questions like, what's that? Does that mean we're playing instruments? Are we going to sing? What are we actually going to do? And I'm just like, can you just 1 sec, just wait, let me speak.
So as soon as you walk into the room.
Oh yeah.
They're like...
just bombarded immediately. Well, because then we'll have the kids that have been there for, towards the end of their stay. Oh, it's a music group. Oh, music is my favorite. You're going to love music. Okay, but what happens in music? It's just immediate.
They start to act out themselves. Like.
Immediately. It's like, okay. Oh shit, what's that on your back? Is that a guitar? Yes, it's a guitar. Please just let me speak. But a lot of what I do is in the realm of teaching coping skills, honing their coping skills, or sometimes kind of we're more in just kind of like a distraction sort of area of just like, like this room is clearly struggling. Like if I walk into a room where like the whole room is the suicidal bunch and they're all just really sad and just kind of like flat affect all over the place, I just, hey, do you guys want to play a game? And by the end of it, they're all laughing. They're all, there's group cohesion. They're all like speaking to each other. They're all kind of like more engaged. So sometimes it's just kind of that. And in other cases, it might be kind of more like actually using music as, hey, if you use music right now in your life, how? And then kind of more discussion sort of things like that.
What do you find that usually, for these kids, like how they're really using music in their life?
Oh, it's amazing because they, there's plenty of studies that we have that the average person probably listens to about 12 hours of music a week, right? But kids and teens, it doubles easily with them. So it's really great to see that a lot of them already are, constantly sometimes listening to music. But what I love is the moments of just like, oh, wait, but I can do it for this. Oh, I can use it for that too. Oh, I don't like it for that. Where they start to realize like they can actually be more purposeful than, oh, it's in the background and it's entertainment.
Right. Or just open Spotify, like live
Exactly.
stream and let the algorithm, I think like just let the algorithm just recommend whatever music they listen to, right? That's probably most people listen to music now.
That has been incredible to watch, honestly, because, you know, I started 5 years ago, which doesn't feel like that long. But at the beginning of me starting, I never had that. I never had the like, oh, yeah, I just let whatever Spotify, like, that wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
But now I'll have kids, oh, yeah, I have a whole Spotify playlist. What's on it? Oh, I don't know. Spotify made it. And it's so fascinating that, like, you don't know what's on the playlist. Oh, because the algorithm made it for you. Sure. Okay. I would have never told you that could happen 5 years ago, you know?
Oh, the algorithm determine what I listen.
Exactly. My favorite comment that they'll give me is, oh, I don't know what it's called and I don't know who it's by, but I can tell you what the album art looks like. What? Yeah, because I see it on I see it on the thumbnail on Spotify. I have absolutely had to try to identify a song based on, well, the album art looks like this. Okay, let's go find it. Let's go search.
Right. How to search that?
Yeah.
Maybe they just pull up their phone, like scroll.
Well, that's the thing. So none of on acute they have nothing.
Oh,
they can't have their phones or anything. PHP, the day program, they can. They're not supposed to have their phones, but sometimes if something will come up where they're just like, this one song, can I please just go grab go grab your phone and look it up and come back. But yeah, especially on acute, they'll be like, oh, well, if I had my phone, I could look at my Spotify.
Right.
Well,
I think we are on the front line. Like me, as music therapists, we're on the front line to see the change in the trend of people's connection with music and see those big influence of those technology.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm curious, like, what do you think, like, this influence is playing in what kind of impact it has? Like, just compare 5 years ago. I think 5 years ago people were like, oh, I need to pick the song, right?
Yeah. It was still more hand-picked. I had to kind of do the digging. I was the one finding it all for me. Yeah. Whereas now it's much more of like, oh, I can just tell that to do it for me. I can make the app do it. Like, I don't need to do that. And I think that there's a level of depersonalization with it because you didn't handpick it. So you're not going to know. You might not remember who is it by? What is it even called? Because you didn't pick it out for yourself.
Like what you said is so interesting because all those algorithms, they're like, yeah, we are personalizing the music. We're making music more personalized because we dig into it. We know what you might like. But actually, it's depersonalizing.
I think that's what I'm finding is that, you know, they don't have the same relationship as the kids did 5 years ago with their music.
Wow.
And, you know, let alone us, right? You know, like if you go back to when I was their age, like, you know, I had the CD booklet and I had to, all right, it's on this next CD, I promise. It's this one. Okay, number 10. It's track number, oh, that track is broken. Track number set, like, you know, like we had a whole other way of having to make sure we knew our music.
And then I think that it's physical, it's tangible. And you have to decide which one to buy on. Like, I think if you go to the store and you have to decide, okay, do I really want this one? Like, okay, if I have to pick one of these two, right? There's so many like emotional processing to say there.
Exactly. We were like much more involved. Yeah, on an emotional level, you know, just on an investment level.
Also.
You know, but now like the algorithm gets to do it for you. You don't have to think, which, you know, could for some people could be great, and it's a load off. But also when you don't have the algorithm or don't have that playlist anymore because you're in a hospital, where does it leave you?
Yeah. Also, it's become so unconscious. Like, because I believe in awareness. Like when, as a human being, especially, you know, the most important difference we have between us and the animals, like we can do things consciously rather than everything just slips through unconscious, like automatic. But I see the algorithm Spotify, like, it's doing this with music. Wow. I didn't think about that way before our conversation today. Like it's actually depersonalizing.
I mean, I think it's great for, you know, casual use. But it's been very interesting to see that, like, wait, you don't actually know what you're listening to as well as I did, or as the kids 5 years ago did. You know?
So when you start to, then now they're in music therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you start to introduce different way of actually engage through music to achieve like different goals, and I know you said there are those reactions like, oh, I can do this, okay, do that. Can you elaborate a bit more, like if something like really like surprising for the kids you work with?
Yeah, so I mean, just on a basic level, especially if it's a group where a lot of kids are new to me because they haven't seen me yet, I might be like, hey, like let's just put together a themed playlist, and they very quickly be like, okay, let's listen to rap. No, it cannot be a genre. Why can't it be a genre? Because not everybody in this room will necessarily listen to that genre. It has to be a theme, an actual theme. And I've made everything from like, sure, I've made happy playlists. I've made some sad playlists, but then I've even had some, we want to make a workout playlist. Okay, sure. Let's make a workout playlist. Yeah. I had a playlist for the first songs we're going to hear when we get out.
That's great.
Yeah. Let's go. What are they? You know, and actually the most recent one that I got to do was on the partial hospitalization unit. And we created a playlist specifically for when you go on a walk. And why this one was so meaningful was because we then took that, like I threw it on my phone very quickly. We took that playlist and went on a walk with it. Because it's a day program. So we have the area, we have the space, we have like a little back road that we, you know, went up and back down. And I had them all, as we were walking, I would have them all vote, hey, would you put this on your playlist? And they would raise their hands and keep walking. Or they would not and be like, no, I can't. I don't want to walk to this ever again. Okay, well, now you know. And so many of them were like, I would have never picked this, but oh my God, I really like that. There you go. You learned some new songs to go on a walk.
Right.
You know?
So you made a tentative playlist and you just play it, tried it out, and decide what to. And maybe you make some suggestions publicly. Also, you probably also make some recommendations.
I don't tend when they're that engaged. I don't tend to. If there's a song where I'm just like, are you sure that fits the vibe? That's as much as I might say. Especially because the other kids, when it comes up, will be like, no, this is, if I have a kid that has put a song on the list like as a joke or like, you know, to try to get a reaction out of me in particular, it's usually the rest of the group that's like, that one doesn't fit. What are you doing? And I don't have to say anything. Which is definitely like one of the beauties of group work.
Yes.
That you would never get with an individual, right? Like the group, like I don't necessarily have to call the group out when one or two of them are like trying to act out to get my attention, because the rest of the group is going to call you out. I don't have to say anything.
I love group work.
Yeah,
every member in the group becomes a resource to each other. So it's not just me there to probably. It's
not just all pulling from me.
Yeah, and there's so many more we can do with that. Yeah, like now I'm imagining like a guiding group of kids like walking to the music. So, what are other staff members? I can imagine they're probably nurses, doctors, psychologists, social worker. Anyone else?
the whole thing. There's like the ones that are with them all day long, we call like mental health technicians. They're the ones that kind of just are in the room with them all the time. So techs are always there with us. But yeah, I've worked with nurses, therapists, the psychiatrists, all sorts of people.
What's their reaction to that?
For the most part, they all react positively. It's more of when I have to explain what we're doing that it's kind of like, okay, can I explain this to you not in the middle of my
Oh, okay. They
sometimes they'll be like, oh, wait, really? You can do that? Yes. Can we focus over there though? So like when we did the walk playlist, the staff loved it. They were like, that's actually really smart. I never would have thought of like making them do it, but then immediately testing it out. It's like, it's a great way to like really put it into practice.
Yes.
But if I have a group maybe on acute where maybe we're doing group singing, which is another one of their favorites, I make little booklets of songs, usually about like 20 songs in them. I pass them out and I make it very clear, you all do not have to sing. I have to sing, but you all at the very least like look through the book, pick songs and look at the lyrics. You can sing if you want to. So maybe we'll have, a group that is particularly into singing and they're all like really getting into it. And maybe like the nurse practitioner will come in to grab a kid to see them for a meeting. The MP might come in and be like, oh, wait, can I sing too? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. Just don't interrupt my group. By all means. Or, we'll have the kids, but my song is on. Why are you taking me right now? Sorry. They like it. My bad. But yeah, no, for the most part, the rest of the staff are really receptive to it and kind of they see that it, it really makes a difference for them.
What are the questions they may ask? They try to pull you.
I will have staff that try to participate. And sometimes that's helpful in getting like a particularly low energy group out of their shells. But if it's a group that was already very happy participating on their own and I have staff jumping in, I'm just kind of like, this group is for them, not for you. Please stop. I know you're excited to answer my trivia question, but please stop.
How do you handle that?
It depends. Sometimes I will just straight up be like, hey, like we need to be focused there. Hey, here, focus. Children, the kids that are in your care right now. Yeah, please. Thank you. And sometimes even the kids are like, hey, we're supposed to be doing this. Again, sometimes I just have the benefit of the group will call them out for me. It's beautiful.
And especially like I think teenager, right?
Oh yeah. They have no issues with calling you out to your face. None whatsoever. And even like, they might not even realize that they're necessarily being rude. They just want to call you out.
I see it. I have to like, say it.
Yeah. Some of them just have no filter and they say it and then realize afterwards, oh, that was mean. Yeah, it was a little mean, but it also was a little true. So.
Oh. So well, that's beautiful. And I think we went from the kids in the acute, and we understand how they refer, and then some of them maybe refer to residential, maybe day program, and from the acute, and are like what are other referral way for children to join the day program or residential?
Oh, for the day program, sometimes they will get referrals from like the school counselors. Having kids in school during the school year is always a really big time for referrals, just because there are so many more people in that kid's life that can like see something wrong and possibly refer them to extra help. So, school counselors, trusted teachers, sometimes they'll even just reach out for the kid or for the parents and be like, hey, I've got this kid. This is kind of where they're at. And then we will have them come to acute for what's called a level of care assessment. So that's where we'll assess like, okay, like, are you at the level of you need to be in an acute setting? No, but you might fit for the day program instead. For residential, that's mostly from acutes or from hospitals. The one time otherwise might be a kid had to be discharged from acute because they no longer met criteria to be there, but their parents had already put in a referral for their own kid. So the kid is at home, but they're just on the waiting list to be able to be accepted. So we got it from the parents, but those tend to be the most common. And, there's always going to be stuff from the state for kids that are in state custody and things of that nature, or like a group home sometimes too.
So if a kid they're in school and they refer to day program, so this means like they stop going to school, instead they go to the day program. Okay.
Often when they first start in the day program, they'll be with us Monday to Friday, and then they'll start kind of like tapering off. So maybe they'll only come to us Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they'll go to school Tuesday, Thursday. And then maybe they'll only come to us Monday, Friday, and the middle of the week, they're going all to school. So they tend to like kind of like lessen the days that they're with us over time.
So how do you work with them in the day program? What would be different?
With them, I still definitely kind of do more single session, but I can at least like give them more of a chance, like more of a choice. So I walk onto acute and I'm usually like, hey, there are two options today. It's this or this. Like, because I love giving agency. I rarely try to walk in and say like, we're doing this today. Let's go. Because, if it's not like, I want to give them an opportunity. You're in a psych hospital.
Yeah.
I want to give you one sense of agency in your day.
Right.
So I usually let them pick between two options of what do we want to do today. On PHP, I actually tend to do a lot of the same. But because they tend to, especially the longer they're there and the longer they're with me, they tend to know like, oh, wait, we could do this. Hey, do you have this today? You guys know I do. Yes, we can. You have to make it a special request. That's all. But especially because they're still working on like learning and using their coping skills. I still kind of work a lot in the same ways with them.
Can you share a bit more detail, like how exactly you work? Use music, right, to help them to gain coping skill.
Yeah. So the one we've talked about was the playlist one. So that's a receptive way of using music, where we put some sort of music together and then we listen to it together and we discuss it together, right? Other things that I like doing are like the group singing. So singing just for yourself has been really has been proven to be like really beneficial in like lowering your heart rate and just kind of like helping ground yourself. But singing, let alone with others, is even more beneficial. Where you kind of get that sense of connection and like like a group togetherness. In addition to the health benefits that you already have from singing on your own. So we'll do a lot of that too. And then another top favorite, because I still work with kids and teens, right? So other top favorites that I have are, I've got a whole set of music games that I will use. And the games that I have I'm trying to like not go through my whole thing with you like I would with a group. But I have 4 different games that I usually keep on hand all the time. One of them is called Verse, and it's just a bunch of like category cards that seem like total nonsense words, right? You might pull 5 cards and they might be strawberry, mug, marker, peanut, Taylor. 5 completely random things. And then they have to write something with the 5 words that they pulled. So they have to improvise something. And they can do it together. They can put together like a whole story with the kids that are sitting around them, or they have to write something all by themselves and be able to like recite it to the rest of the group. So that one's really fun. And some of the kids that I have that, are inclined to rap, they'll freestyle. So I'll give them their 5 cards and they have to freestyle with their 5 cards, as ridiculous as the cards might be. But it gets them thinking, it gets them working in a completely different way than they ever would. So that if you can work with complete nonsense words, then you can work with words that are actually going to be meaningful to you. That's the whole idea behind it, that like now you actually want to write for yourself. Hey, this could be a coping skill you didn't know you had. So that's one of the games. I have another one called Encore, where it's like the way that they always say, it's like the riff off from Pitch Perfect, in that you get a word and you have to come up with songs that have the word in it and sing the line that it has. So if I were to pull the word sun, you could say, here comes the sun, do 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 do, here comes the sun, Or you would sing, oh, you are my sunshine, my only sun. But that's the thing. They have to sing the line. So that's where they always get caught. It's just like, oh, wait, I know a song. Wait, I have to sing it. So, you know, it gets them like thinking, but also working with peers when they're just like, oh, there's this one song. What is it? What's the line? Can you remember? Can you sing it? And, you know, it will briefly get them singing as well if they're daring enough. So, you know, yeah. So I've got
some may like be hesitant to sing.
Because
voice is so vulnerable, right?
Definitely. And, you know, of course, I will let the kid that I know would never sing. I'll let you slide by with the like, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. Okay, good. But, you know, even that is, you know, that takes self-confidence. And that is an opportunity for them to build their self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what I'm really caring about.
Yeah.
It's not about like whether or not you can actually sing a song correctly for me, you know?
I think that's the biggest difference because I think when you share those like music game from the outsider view, it was like, yeah, you just play music game. Like, what's the difference?
Exactly.
I don't know, class like music teacher or something.
Yeah,
else,
yeah.
Right? What would you
exactly.
say?
And that's the biggest. That's a big thing to have to like advocate for too, right? Is like when you see us work, it may look like anybody else can do it. However, you don't see us writing our notes afterwards that then say what we did, what they did, and how we worked on it together. You know?
We set up the goals and the objectives and also measure the progress. I think that's what people don't see. And I always say like when I work, you see like when I work like when people ask me, okay, like, you know, what's music therapy? Like a very brief way is like, okay, you see I'm effortlessly just playing music, having fun with people. But at the back of my mind, hell, if you take my brain out, there's a lot of there's theory,
all this other stuff going on back here. I promise.
Lots of stuff like theory, like observation, like behavioral assessment, like taking notes and like all those calculations. Like, yeah, that's.
Oh yeah. How many opportunities has this kid had to be able to bring up their self-esteem? How many opportunities has this kid taken advantage of those? How many times has that kid walked out the door and why? You know, like all of those. All at once.
And with this intervention, the music intervention I put in, does it improve? Does there certain specific behavior improve? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. All the time.
I wish you could have now I'm thinking like because I saw a while ago there was a photo of a therapist brain. I think we should create a visual representation of like music therapist brain. What is inside, like in slides or so.
We totally should.
Yeah, I think we could find art therapist who can draw.
Yeah, right. Let's partner up.
So yeah, you take care. Okay? I think we talk about acute and daycare, and what's the residential unit looks like?
So residential, they're a little more complicated for many reasons. Because like I said, they are like anywhere from 6 to 12 months stay.
Yeah,
there are 7 different units. So they are very, very split up. So we list them with the phonetic alphabet. So Alpha unit is the youngest boys. Bravo are like Bravo and Delta are the 2 oldest boys, but it's Alpha, Bravo. Charlie is the younger girls. Delta is like the other side of Bravo. It's the older boys. Echo is a unit specifically for typically court ordered, but not all the time. So that's where they are. Echo Fox is the older girls, and Gamma tends to be the kind of like in the middle boys that are a little too old to be on Alpha and a little too young to be on Delta or Bravo. So all of these units on each of them, I think the biggest unit has 16 and the smallest unit has 10, I think 8 or 10. So kind of in that group range. And with them, I do actually try to keep the programming the same between the units, provided that I think it'll be beneficial all the way through. However, with them, I'm only seeing them because I am in a department with 3 other recreation therapists, and rec therapy and music therapy on residential switch every week. So we take turns, we alternate to make sure that the kids can get both, and we see them only once a week. So each of us only gets to see them every other week. So if I saw them this week, they see rec therapy next week, and then they see music therapy the week after that. So they're a little more complicated, and it's only for half an hour at a time. It's not a 50-minute group.
Wait, 5 an hour, do you see like each unit separately, or they're all like together?
All separately. So my schedule is like I might see Alpha and then Bravo back to back, and then have a little break, and then I'll see Delta and Gamma, and then the next day I might see Fox, Echo, and Charlie. It's just how it's split up because their schedules are ridiculous to look at, honestly.
Complicated.
Yeah, they're very complicated.
They like have full schedule back to back with.
They do. Their schedules are completely packed because they wake up in the morning, and sometimes they'll have interventions right there when they wake up, like a goals group for how they want to do for the rest of the day,
like
and
right
then
there?
They go to school.
Right there.
Yeah. So they might wake up, do their morning breakfast routine, and then have a group, and then go to school, have school for until 3 p.m. And then come back to their units, and then have group dinner, maybe some free time, maybe time for like phone calls and showers at the end of the day, and then you're going to bed. So their days are so full.
So they stay there, but they go to regular school during the day.
Yes, we have a school that is within the facility itself. So we've got teachers and everything, and a principal.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty
residential
intense.
schedules are intense.
So then it's half an hour. What are you gonna work with them? Is it the goal different or the same? Like
with them, I tend to veer more towards the distraction sort of stuff instead of the like trying to get into the meat of how they're using music in their lives. Just because I see them for so little time every other week.
Right.
Like with some group, like with Fox in particular, the older girls, sometimes I actually have the ability to kind of dig a little bit more with them, and they enjoy that sort of kind of like deeper analysis of their own music and that sort of thing. But with a group like Alpha, which is all 10-ish-year-old boys, like they're just kind of like, can we play? Can we play freeze dance? Yes, we can play freeze dance. Like it's really much more of just kind of like, what can we do to just kind of liven up and have some sort of distraction from your day that is so packed with stuff all the time.
They can relax, have
exactly,
have some fun. Right.
Let's
see.
And at that point, it's more of just like, can I just get you engaged in something different in your day? Because it is sometimes I'll walk into a unit. What do you mean we have another group? We just had group. Okay, but this is a different group.
Okay.
So it really just depends.
Because it's already intense. Probably. What are other therapy they going through in the resident program?
So they have individual therapists that will come in and do therapy groups throughout the day with them. And then the techs, remember I said like the techs are the ones that are with them all day long. They'll do like psych ed groups where they might do something all about like, hey, like let's look at this one coping skill. Like, does it actually help you? Or let's look at something like addiction. Let's talk about that. So it really is like someone is probably talking about something therapeutic all day long when they're not in school. So it is a long day for them. So yeah, sometimes I like to go in and be like, hey, you guys want to sing for half an hour? Let's go.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so that you point out that, when as music therapists working this type of mental health facilities, really like looking at the entire environment the client are in and what they actually need at that moment, and then create the program, the intervention for them.
Exactly.
So how, like, what's your daily life look like? Because you are in all those 3 units. That's a lot of kids and a lot of different needs to meet. And what's your, how many sessions are you doing every week?
Well, so it depends. So if it's a residential week, I will have probably still like 4 to 5 sessions a day. Because remember, the residential ones are shorter, so they're only half an hour.
So 4 to 5, half an hour.
Yeah.
Session.
But I won't just do that. Like I might do 4 residential and then like do one of the groups on acute, for example. But if it's not if it's not a residential week, I will probably do 3, maybe 4 sessions in a day. Because I'll be mostly between acute and the day program PHP.
How do you coordinate all these because there's a huge team of people to take care of them. How do you coordinate in terms of working with different professionals and as a team?
Well, so we have a massive master schedule that we came up with. So when I actually started at the hospital, acute only used to be 16 beds. So only had 16
you're double
kids.
Now.
Yes, we are double, and we actually have the capacity for 40. So we could go up even more. We're good though. We're okay right now. We're fine. Thank you. But so when we completed the expansion, we said like, oh wait, we have to sit down and come up with a new schedule because we don't just have 2 day rooms worth of kids anymore. We have 4, so we really need to figure it out. So we came up with a massive master schedule for everybody, which especially on acute means like, okay, let's make sure that treatment teams get done, that rec and music therapy get to go in, that they have another therapy group with like their individual therapists, that there's enough time for the psychiatrist to see them throughout the day. So we came up with a big master schedule, so we know like, hey, rec or music therapy, you guys are gonna see somebody at 9 a.m., at 1 p.m., at 2 p.m., at 3 p.m. Like we know. It's just a matter of like, oh hey, who is there? Because it's 2 of us Sunday to Wednesday and 2 of us Wednesday to Saturday. So the front half and back half of the week. So it's merely a matter of just like, okay, which one of us is doing which of those groups on a particular day. So we have the big master schedule, and then just in our department, we have our own little schedule. Like, okay, you take that one, you take this one, you take that one, I take this one.
See,
so it was a lot.
See. Do you ever get all together and have those group meetings to debrief the progress or any particular cases need to pay attention to?
Within my department, we do it's just me, like I said, me and 3 other rec therapists. As a huge group, we don't. We just can't, honestly. And it's one of the things that I think like, man, I really wish we could have that, but we just can't. There's too many people
to all coordinate together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you need someone actually at the floor doing the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh wait, who's watching? If we're all here, who's watching the kids? Hang on.
Oof! Wow. How many people? Like how many staff members? If you know.
Oh, I have no idea. Just on acute alone, there's gotta be at least 20 techs.
Okay.
With
Very
space
intense.
for like 30 more.
Yeah.
Because so especially with the tech schedule, they're the ones that are there 24/7 for the kids.
Yeah.
So there's a morning shift from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's an evening shift from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then there's an overnight from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So there has to be, a certain number of techs at all hours to be able to cover, for the numbers that we have. So yeah, there are overnights I'm sure I will never meet because,
Yeah.
you're not there when I'm there.
So usually like 9 to 5. Is that what's schedule? So what actually brought you into music therapy? What made you interested in becoming a music therapist?
I was always into music, my whole life into music. when I graduated from high school and was going to college, everyone thought it was really funny that I thought I was going to stay away from music because I, in theory, wanted to major in foreign languages. But when I got to my university of choice, I found out that I could only major because I wanted to major in something very like Arabic or Italian or something.
Language.
But when I got to my university, I found out that I could only major in French or Spanish.
Oh.
I am not a fan of French, and I am a native speaker of Spanish. So I really didn't want to major in the thing that I spoke my whole life. So instead I was like, well, I guess I have to switch. And the entire time I felt music just kind of like, hey, when you come back, just,
poking.
Okay, fine. So I went back to music, but I actually, my saddest part about my story is that I found out about music therapy pretty late. I didn't know that it existed until sophomore or junior year of undergrad. And by that point, they didn't have it. They didn't have it at my school. It wasn't that I had it at my university, but at that point I was like, I'm not gonna, switch schools because I'm this far in my own program. So what I did was I just did a double major. Yeah, I just did a double major in music and psychology as a this is probably enough classes to take me over there without me switching universities my junior year of undergrad.
Right.
So that's what I ended up having. So I graduated music and psychology, and then I did an equivalency program. So it only took me 2.5 years instead of, a whole new bachelor's or anything like that. So I was able to get in there, get just the music therapy side of things. I only needed like 1 or 2 more extra things that the program didn't have, and then graduated from that. And I have a super strong passion for research. So as soon as I was done with the graduate program, I actually just continued right on and I did my master's in music therapy because it gave me the opportunity to do my thesis under my main mentoring professor. And I just knew that I wanted to be able to do research with him because I was just I knew I was sold. I was like, yep, I want to research with, let's go. Come on. So it was amazing to be able to do that.
So you were you finished your dual major, and then equivalency was 2.5 years. And then you went straight into the master. Then that's another
and then the master's, there's a couple of overlapping classes between the graduate program and my master's, so it was another 2 years, but I didn't have to take as many credits as everybody else did.
That makes sense.
So that was really nice too.
Yeah, because
if I had waited, those classes would have expired. So I was like, no, we're just gonna take those classes and keep going. Come on.
I see. So what was the research area you were interested?
So I mean, where I work really is my passion. I've always known that I really love working with adolescents. I've always known that I really loved mental health.
Always.
Always.
From
probably from what I found out about music therapy, honestly.
I see.
Because we always when we first find out about it, we tend to find out about it with elderly populations, and that was just not where my heart was at all. But I was kind of who else can you work with? And as soon as I found out mental health, sold. Wait, mental health with adolescents, absolutely. So that's just that, because at the time all throughout undergrad, I taught private lessons. So that was a population that I was already really familiar with and really loved. So my thesis ended up being in looking at what that population likes to listen to for relaxation exercises. Because what I found was that a lot of the music therapy research that we have is pretty much only exclusively about adults for relaxation. And what I found was, teens hate that. Teens absolutely hate what adults want to listen to for relaxation. It made some of them more anxious, honestly. If I were to play something that was very soft, even, no beat, no lyrics, I would have a kid shaking her leg and be like, can we change this like this? I can't do this. Can we change this? And I was like, oh no, there's a gap here that's really important to address. So I had little small groups that I would take out, and we would just, I would just be like, hey, I would just pose a question. so what would you guys want to listen to if you wanted to relax? And it was super fascinating because I had the, I had the raw data of the songs that they picked, but I also had the extra layer of like how they were able to come to that conclusion as a group. And like the group dynamic of like, oh, what would we listen to and why? And I had one group in particular where like a kid tried to throw in a song to mess with everybody in the group. And that was like, as a researcher, I was both like thrilled and infuriated because I was like, you make a kid walk out on me, I swear. But at the same time, that was data that we didn't really have.
Right.
Like if we're looking at all individuals and we're looking at all adults, you're not going to have the data of like, hey, so one kid was going to make the other kid mad in your group. And maybe the great idea that you had won't work, not because of what you brought in, but because one kid made the other kid mad,
You should be ready for that. It really happened. I think adults, probably people are more, okay, I need to be polite or I'm not going to do it. But teenager,
no,
don't care.
They don't care. That actually one of those, because I had, in the end, I think I had four or five little research groups that I got to hold with different kids. One of those was the one where I had a girl be like, oh, I really want to listen to this one song to relax that I think everybody's going to like. But I only know what the album cover looks like. It was one of those. It was one of those. So I got to write about that in my research of like, I also had to look up a song on, that no one knew what it was called. I think it had like a kite on the cover or something.
Did you ever
and we
find
found it? How? We found it. Yeah.
How?
I don't even remember. Like, it was just like, I was like, okay, so I think she was like, I think there's a forest with maybe a kite on it. I was like, all right, fine. Album covers with this. And we just searched until we found it. But
wow,
that was another thing that I got to put in my research, which, I think if I were to do that research study again now,
it would be different.
We would have a lot more of like, I don't know what it's called, but it's on Spotify.
Right.
So
what's the name of your research? I think we can put into the script of the podcast.
It's a very long title. It was it's a question first. So relax to the rules ? A mixed methods approach to adolescence in mental health settings and relaxation. It's something like that.
And you can send me later. We can double check the title. I will put into the description, and so people who are interested can go listen. It's because I feel I feel generally also like, for example, in China now, just generally like with mental health field, not just music therapy, but in general mental health field, there's much less research specifically for adolescent as well, and the challenge we face is totally different.
Absolutely.
Very specific developmental stage.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally get why. Like I was the only one from my cohort that did something with that with an under 18 population. So I had a lot of extra hoops that I had to go through with the IRB to be able to get approved. And then on top of that, I also had to obtain parental approval. But I'm not sitting there for every single kid that gets admitted, because we might have a kid admit at 3 a.m. So I had to rely purely on admissions to be able to recruit for me. I also had to be able to make sure that it was parents that could approve, because I had my heart broken because I actually had a girl specifically request to do it, but she was in the custody of the state. So I couldn't approve her because the IRB did not let me take kids that were not in parental custody. So there's even like an extra layer of like, oh, there's so many more kids that I could have taken had I not had all these other extra layers, so like, oh, there's so much more that I could have even gleaned. But I totally understand why, like, it's absolutely for their protection for sure. But yeah, there's even more out there that we could be learning if we have the right researchers that are willing to go through those hurdles.
And you said that it start from like you recognize, you played the typical relaxation music that the adults like, but the teenager like, I can't take it. So what kind of music then you find was suitable for the teenager?
So I actually have a whole therapy session on this. This is one of my more involved ones, but it's what I call relax to the rules. That's where I got the title for my thesis from. But how I set it up is, okay, we're going to listen to 6 songs. The first one is going to be what you're supposed to listen to relax. And it's honestly, it's usually probably like canon in D.
What is
it's
it?
usually like something classical, something very slow, something with no words, no beat. Or like Claire de Lune. That's another popular one that I've used.
Okay.
So it might be that. And then I'll have them like vote for themselves. Like, is this relaxing? Or discuss it. You know, like, is this relaxing? And then the second song that I might play may be just like Pachelbel's canon, but maybe there's a beat over it. So some of them might sort of be like, oh, okay, well, like, I like that there's a beat, but where are the words? Where are the words at? So the third song I might play might be something that they still don't know what it is necessarily, but it might be an instrumental of something that does have words. And then, oh, I know this song. Oh, wait, but the words are supposed to go here. Where are they? The next song I might play at that point, because we're at the 4th song, right? Yeah. At that point, I might play something like Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish, which is like a very soft, ethereal song, but it has words and it has a beat that you can cling to a little bit. Yeah. And then they start getting into like, oh yeah, no, I would totally relax to this. Like there's words. I can listen to the words. And then there's a beat. I can listen to the beat. Oh, okay. But then I start to go further off the rails. And the next song I might play might be a song by Imagine Dragons. Where a couple more of them might be like, oh yeah, this actually has more instruments. This has more that I can cling to be able to get me to relax. And then the last one might be a screaming metal song where my metalheads will be like, oh yeah, this is what I relax to. And everyone else in the room is like, ah! But, you know, I take them through this whole journey of like, hey, that first song, that's what research says you're supposed to like. And they're all like, ew, says who? And I just like, I know. That's why I did my thesis on you guys.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's great. Their reactions are just priceless every time.
So did you like, when you make those music, it's like pre-recorded, right? You take out certain parts.
Yep. I have like little playlists that I create of just like, we're going to do this one today, this one. Let's go.
Yeah. And this, you know, what you just described, perfectly answer the question I always get. I think you always get probably too. You know, I always get with people asking, hey, Cherub, hey, Xinyu, you know, could you recommend me some relaxing music?
All the time. All the time.
We want to play in the class, or sometimes we want to play in the restaurant, or I just want to listen to it and relax.
All the time.
Like,
no, I cannot. You can though. You just don't know that you can. Oh yeah, all the time.
And I think recently it's just last week, I got asked again with another musician, actually who's a musician, and she's like, I'm a musician, you know, but I'm not a music therapist, so my friend is asking me, you know, can you recommend some relaxing music for his, you know, school, like kids?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Try to answer. So to really briefly to answer that question, I was like, okay, if your friend just wanted some relaxing music, you know, he can go online and search for music, honestly, that he feel relaxed too. But if you want a
go let the Spotify algorithm tell you.
But if you need like very specific, like purposefully, you know, it's like you want to ask a music therapist, like from music therapy perspective, to kind of provide those suggestions. I'm like, I can't. Only when I meet the people you're gonna work with, and I need to know you. I need to know what you like. Yeah, I need to assess you. Like, I need to know way more than like, hey, I want to relax, and I'm, you know, I'm 20. Yeah. Okay. That means nothing to me, but sure. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it would be as good as go tell the Spotify algorithm to find something for you. You know? I would be no more effective than that.
That's where I find like it's the hardest to let people know, like help people understand the layers in this.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah. How do you I think what you just described is actually a clip we can like. I think next time when someone asks question, I will just like, hey, listen to this.
Yeah.
This research shows, that's how can you the most extreme version is some people would feel so relaxed to listen to metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I have a nice little clique in the day program of like 3 or 4 kids that always like hang out together. They're like true, genuine like metalheads that like will always request like, can you play this one song? Is it metal? Yeah, sure. I don't care. I don't mind. Yeah, it is. But like, and the rest of the room will be like, how do you listen to this? And they're all just like, you can just see how like they just relax in the moment of just like, oh yes, this is what I needed. And it's like, I could never possibly tell anybody else, oh yeah, you're gonna listen to that and you're gonna feel great. Right. It doesn't work.
And the point that when you talk about, sound, when you play the third or fourth sound, and some teenager will feel like, oh yeah, I love the beats. Oh, I love the instrument. That's what I need to cling to or relate to or regulate myself to. While for some of the people, like right now, there are so many kind of a sound meditation, like with people playing singing ball or crystal ball and just play those. And I see
like the sound bath stuff.
Yeah, sound baths. I think the US also, I see here like where I'm in Shanghai now, there's a lot of adults love that. And but like mostly there's not much like a musical arrangement or compositional idea behind it. For some people, they will go and then they immediately fall asleep and start to like sneeze, like snoring. And for some other people, it's like, oh, this like annoying sound.
Yeah.
But I think when they do like those marketing and advertisement, they're not going deep, like that deep into that level. They're just like, yeah, this is relaxing music for everyone, and
it's the most appealing for the most people, we swear. Okay, sure.
I think that's where it gets into the public's mindset, like, that's one of the reason maybe we get, like, hey, like, can you recommend me some relaxing music? But I mean, no, it's not a one pill,
not a one size fits all.
Yeah, or one pill. Like people want a one pill, just boom, like magic wand, boom, it works. But unfortunately, it's not that.
No, it's not. Even for let alone for groups of people.
Yep.
Which is who I primarily work with. Like, I might play one song and half the group is like, yeah, I could try this out. The other half of the group is like, no, this is exactly what I need all the time. Then the very next song, they could flip flop, or none of them might like it, and that might be like, oh, I thought it was relaxing. I'm sorry, I don't know.
And that's where I think in music therapy we need a music therapist to be there to evaluate the situation and we make decision. Okay, let's change. Let's do something, and let's all pivot. And
It's the music therapist's purpose is to kind of scan the group, see where they're at, see where, like, even especially the ones there's going to be individuals in group that might never say a word. They may never say a single thing, but you have to be able to read them and see, like, you're looking kind of agitated. I think I'm going to switch this a little sooner than maybe I thought I would. Or you know what, you actually look like you're finally like relaxing for the first time today. Let me leave this on for a little bit longer than maybe I would have before.
Yeah, and these are very, very subtle. That made me remember. That just remind me of like when I worked with, Alzheimer, like patients with Alzheimer disease, and when in the later stage we have to, they cannot verbally tell anything. Maybe they only can do is like rolling their eyeballs.
Yeah.
And maybe a little, very tiny like facial expression, like micro facial expression, or maybe they just move their one finger.
Yeah.
And these are the signs we need to take in and making, to get the assessment and then make a sound decision of, okay, what we gonna do next. This music, that music, play this, or
Yeah, back in my internship, very briefly, because I was in a private practice, they had a couple of hospice patients. So I like once a week would go and, see what it was like with hospice. It was very, very tough. But at the end of my placement there, my supervisor asked, she was like, like, what do you feel like is the number one thing that you've learned here? And I was like, I need to preface this. This is going to sound very like artsy and very deep, but I mean it very literally. And she was like, okay. And I was like, every breath matters. And she was like, oh yeah, that does sound deep. I was like, no. I mean, I have never looked at somebody so intently and how they breathe in my life. But on hospice, sometimes that is the only thing you have.
Right.
Like you can only look at breath, and that is the only thing that you're going to get back. And that's what you roll with. And she was like, oh, wow, you really didn't mean it literally. You meant it literally. I was like, I did. I really did.
Every breath matters.
It does.
Oh man. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That Mimi, was it Mimi? Mimi? Like, music therapy Mimi?
Oh yeah, the meme. Every breath matters. Oh, wow, that's deep. No. I mean, I'm staring at this machine right now.
Then if you have the life support machine on, right? Look at the heart rate.
Yeah, exactly.
The oxygen rate. Every percentage matters.
Yeah. From NICU to hospice.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. So would you like to... Okay, I'm thinking... Oh, there's another thing you do.
Yeah.
Despite all those... the music therapy, 9 to 5, daily life, you also... I think you love play video games.
I do.
You are trying to bring video game live stream with like talking about music therapy experience, and you want to bring more like guided relaxation experiences to more people.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So I stream on Twitch. My handle is Songs of Healing, because of course it is. But so I primarily play video games while I'm there. But I explain for every stream that I'm also there to kind of, give people like little snippets of what music therapy actually is like. Because a lot of people don't even know what it is. Because I mentioned in my description, like, I'm a board certified music therapist. I'm here on Twitch. I'm not the only one. There's, I think, 3 of us that stream, but the other ones that I know of don't talk about their work at all.
Oh, okay.
So I want my space to be one in which like I do talk about my work if anybody has questions about it, so that I can really let them know. But I also kind of in conjunction with my thesis work, I realized that I also just kind of wanted to make relaxation experiences accessible. Because there's just this very deep misconception that like, if you're going to meditate, like you got to be in a quiet room, you got to be in the dark, you got to be like,
yes, there's also...
And so I literally like, I ended up streaming because I was tired of I would always go through the mental health and the mindfulness tags on Twitch, which are 2 ways that you can tag your live streams.
Yeah.
And it was always something called ASMR, which are like very auditory stream. Like that's all you would ever find there. And I was sick of it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be someone that's not doing that in this chat. So I started streaming, and what I basically, set out to do is I explained that like, hey, I have something that you can redeem where we have a tiny little meditation session. And a lot of people that do come in and see that, they're like, but that's like a whole No, it's absolutely not a whole involved thing. I might teach you box breathing, which is where you breathe to a certain count.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Congratulations. You just meditated. You know, like something is like, I do like very bite-sized little moments where people can see like, oh, it doesn't have to be this big production that I schedule in my day.
Yeah.
Like I can just be mindful of how I'm breathing for literally 10 seconds.
Right.
And it might change how you feel for the rest of the day.
Uh-huh.
So, but I do that all in the context of like, you know, most of the video games that I play on the channel are pretty chill. I don't tend to play like high octane things, except for right now I am playing something that's a little more intense because it's music themed because I had to. But, so yeah, and sometimes what I have sitting in front of me is called an idiopan. It is a steel tongue drum. It sounds like this.
Would you like to open the original sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will sound better on Zoom. Yay.
There we go. And sometimes I'll just play that for 2 minutes. Like, hey, I'm going to take a 2-minute break. I'm just going to play this. You can do whatever. You can leave. You can get a snack. You can sit and listen. Whatever you want. But I want whatever you do to do it purposefully. And then we'll get to the end of the 2 minutes and my entire chat will be like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't realize I needed that. Wait, that was meditating? How was that? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. This is easy. Ta-da.
Nice.
Yeah.
Unexpected place.
Yeah, really, it is.
Well, that's how music therapy started. Like at beginning, I think people in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Before the World War II, like people think music just entertainment, play on stage.
Yeah.
But then World War II, and then a lot of them moving to a lot of other population into hospital, into nursing home, children with special needs. It was bringing music into those unexpected places.
Yep, exactly.
And you are bringing one more step further. People come and watch video game and then boom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is this drum thing that you keep talking about? Oh, well, let me show you. Yep, it's great.
So you record, like, is it all the live stream recorded? People can still go back and listen to it, or it's only live streaming?
They expire after a certain amount of time, but I do have clips of like, what is the drum? What does it sound like? That'll always stick around. So yeah.
So in addition to like, oh my God, this is, this, I just meditated. Like what?
Yeah.
What do you think, like, if like people would do afterwards, or does it inspire them to do some exploration, like further exploration?
I don't necessarily know for all of them. I do have some that, because like some of the ones that'll pop up in chat, like I'm actual friends with, and like they'll message throughout the day. And some of them may message me and be like, I really need a drum right now. And I'm just like, do you need me to like clip you one and send it to you? Like, what's your deal? And they're like, no, you did it earlier and it felt so nice. And I'm thinking about it. Oh, that's really good. I'm glad that, it's on your mind. Hey, guess what? You can do that at any time.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very fun way.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to experience that, if you can go find her on the Twitch, Sounds of Healing.
Yep. That's me.
All right. So I think I have a last question. We have talked a lot like about advocacy. So we talk about the question that we always get. What is maybe another question we haven't touched upon, but you always get, like people ask you as a music therapist, that you just constantly getting this question, and you want the people to understand?
Yeah, I think the biggest one it tends to be like, okay, but like, well, am I a music therapist? Like, I listen to music for my, I know what I listen to. Like, music is my therapy. Am I a music therapist? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why am I not a music therapist? I think that's definitely the one that gets me the most.
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, I think that it's very easily understood and manageable knowledge that, like, music by itself can be, but is therapeutic.
Yeah.
Right? But the added layer of, like, okay, well, then why am I not my own music therapist? Well, that would be because you don't have the awareness outside of yourself to be your own therapist, first of all. But, you know, like, it's what I think that we have to be careful with advocating for is that, like, yes, music in and of itself is therapeutic. However, the added layer of being in a relationship with another person along that journey in therapy is what makes it as powerful as it is. Like, I may have entire sessions where we do nothing but just hit next, where the kid just, you know, I have an individual session that I've had, you know, where the kid just wanted to listen to songs. That's it. But it was the fact that this kid that on day one had to sit all the way across the room from me to do that, that now was completely content sitting right next to me, sitting right next to my speaker, and just, you know, hitting next. That was only possible through the relationship that we had. Mm-hmm. It's not his relationship with the music that did that. And it's certainly not, oh, well, I like what I listen to, so you know, I'm my therapist. It's definitely not that either.
It's that triangle, the clients, the therapist, the music, and three
exactly.
in one.
Exactly.
Thank you
if
so much.
If you're missing one of those, you just have a line.
Yay. So thank you so much
of course,
for coming
thank you for
today.
Me.
Really having fun. And yeah, and I can see that when you describe all this, the research you did, the interaction you have with your clients, even like on those different units, I can like clearly see it in my mind. Yeah. And thank you. And hope we can have you on the podcast maybe in a couple months or half a year.
Yeah.
And if the audience have any question, can leave the comments underneath the podcast, and I will check it out.
感谢你的收听，我们下一期不见不散。